Receive. past is more.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wednesday Civilization with today a little update. Not, I say little, but it's not little, it's a big update, and this is what we're gonna review today. All the additional content that's been created by the developers of Firaxis and the team, and also everything that they try to hype the community with. So we will be reviewing all of that together, and yeah, try the game as well to see how that goes. If they did anything good at all, let's see how that goes. Yeah. Anyway, so to start with, we have a full page of update that is potentially interesting to look at. And this page of updates gives us a lot about the features, large and huge maps developed also, as well as all the new advanced options, the new bonuses, the new so they also developed a lot the regions, bonuses, and all of the pantheons and stuff like that. Apparently they added some towns, some city states. Yeah, new loading screen apparently, some gameplay tweaks. There are a lot of things to be looked at in this new update. So we'll start by the beginning, and I think one of the great way to do it is simply by creating a new game. So how about we just pick someone we never picked before, Catherine the Great, for example. +2 bonus, +2 culture per age on displayed great work. So that is a lot of potential culture if we go great works. Okay. Buildings with great work slot gain an additional slot, so that makes it easier to actually go and beeline the great works. And cities settled in tundra gain science equal to 25% of the culture, so you boost up the culture as much as you can using these, and then your cities that are in tundra or their culture. So you want to make sure the great works are displayed in the tundra cities, which could be interesting to do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the best civilization ever to test a TSL map, where you would want to settle a little bit everywhere, but maybe Himiko? Friend of way that can be performed in an alliance to grant you and your ally 25% science. +4 science per age for every leader you're friendly or helpful with. Funny enough, I've never been offered by Himiko any such thing. I want to check something quickly in my hotkeys. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay, no, things are still in place. Okay, perfect. Is the stream properly set on Twitch and YouTube? It does seem to be working. Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining. YouTube seems to be working as well. Alright. So let's get back to the update. Alright, shall we? Meiji Japan is quite interesting for us, so we might want to try to do that. Just checking that everything is alright. Okay. Meiji Japan is interesting for us. 4 science per age for every leader you're friendly, helpful with, can support endeavors for free. So that is very diplomatic, yeah. Diplomatic, scientific, cultural, diplomatic. We could go for like a soft game while testing the TSL. That's very science oriented though. 2 happiness per age on happiness and influence building, doubled if a building is both. That leads to go for Greece, right? 50% production toward constructing happiness and influence building. Double if the building is both. Interesting. 20% culture, but minus 10% science. These effects are doubled during the celebration, so we lose in science, but gain in culture. High shaman. Diplomatic. High happiness. High influence. Okay, that could be fun. So we could just start Imiko real quick. There you go. Yo. Of course, of course. There's something I need to check. I realize I have not. Yeah, that would be easier for me to do things this way. So I wanted to set up the page in a way that would be visible for everyone. There we go. But ultimately, it would have been better if I could just show the page itself. I'm annoyed because OBS is not that easy when it comes to that. Oopsie daisy. What just happened? OBS, you're annoying me. So, could I just put the one page I'm interested in? What if I do that? Does it change anything? Doesn't seem to me that it changes anything. No, it's absolutely just the same. If somebody is super good in OBS, I would be really happy for him to help me, but right now it's not working really well. Anyway, I'll show the brother page when needed. At the moment, we just create the game. So for obvious reasons, I am thinking Greece, culture and happiness, that also gives influence, but they say Mississippian or Khmer would be the geographic choice or strategic choice. Now, why is this? All buildings receive +1 food adjacency for resources, but 30% production toward constructing Monk's Mount. So because Monk's Mount is a building that provides what she likes, that makes sense. Burning Arrow, combat bonus against siege units. It's not very interesting, especially in Antiquity. What about the Khmer? Expansion is scientific. District on river do not remove the natural yield of the tile. Yeah, I don't really see the appeal to this. If I was to go, like Rome would make sense. Colosseum provides a lot of happiness. If I'm not mistaken, they also have happiness and influence building. What other civilization is looking for happiness? The Mauryan seems to be. Happiness and science, happiness and culture. Civilian unit capable of founding new town. At +2 happiness in City Hall. Plus 10% happiness in this settlement that will have the district. That does synergize really well with her. Choosing an additional pantheon after unlocking mysticism. Well, it depends if we play on deity or not. If we play on deity, you only have the last pantheon anyway, so 30% production toward constructing Sanchi Stupa. Okay, that is a potential very interesting combo, I think. I am also considering Greets, because +3 influence per turn on Palace, 30% production toward the Oracle, and they do have happiness and influence. Acropolis. That does combine really well with our current bonus. The Hoplite is an interesting, okay, good early age unit. Plus 2 combat strength if adjacent to another Hoplite. So it's a small combat bonus, but any combat bonus is good to take. Great person with 1 charge cannot be trained in cities with Acropolis. So the Logios, you have to beeline the Acropolis, create your Acropolis, and then you can start doing some Logios. Each Logios can be only received once. They provide different sort of bonuses. Now some of those bonuses could be potentially giving some sort of a great work. I wonder. So Moria has the +5 combat strength against 45 districts in no zone control. This is really strong. It's a very strong cavalry unit. +5 combat when attacking cities. We might not see a lot of cities close if we play a TSL map. So maybe that's not the best choice. Let's go for my first idea, which is Greece. Okay, so now let's go and start looking at the very first new feature of the game, which is the TSL. Apparently you can play on Switch. That's very strange. Anyway. There we go. What does that say for us? It says that the update will be coming a later date. Yes, it actually only arrived the day before yesterday. Blah blah blah. You'll notice a star icon next to select notes or wait or whatever. Few quick notes before you dive in. Some new changes will not appear before you start a new game or advance to the next age. Okay. If you encounter bug of issue, try to disabling any modes. Okay. Are you playing on Steam and want to finish your current save under previous? Okay, we don't care. Large and huge maps. This is what we are looking for. Large and huge maps. So, those were maps that were already very popular before in Civ 6 and all. I believe a lot of people in the community were wondering why the maps were all limited to standard size. And why they didn't actually have the big maps such as the full earth size maps or this sort of stuff. So we're happy to add support for large and huge map size on all of our map sites, of all of our map types. Okay. Both map size default to 10 players. Alright. So either you go on multiplayer or you go on 1 player and 9 AI. That's quite a lot, 10. That means that we are most likely not gonna have any Pantheon at all. As for what's next? Multiplayer campaign still max out at 8 total players. I don't know what they call campaigns. Including AI and humans. Though 12 total players is still our goal for huge map. We need a bit more time to make sure increased players counts won't compromise game stability, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. I'm not entirely sure what they call campaigns. Like it's just there is no real campaign, right? In this game, it's just you just play maps. Because these maps are so large, maybe there are like new aspect of the game that I don't know about. When you create a new game, and we can come back to Imiko. We can come back to Imiko, not a problem. When you create a new game, I need to take the page out so you can see. When you create a new game, you basically have the possibility to go multiplayer or just to do new game, right? Now, if you go into the options, those are the options, the graphical options that you have. Additional content, however, it's more like the add-ons and other things. Like, you don't really have anything in particular, right? And then collection, that's something else. So when you create new game, it does not tell you if you want to go for a campaign or anything like that. You just basically create a new map. So we chose Imiko, we chose Grace, and now we get into the settings, right? Let's go to the advanced options, because I believe this is what really modified. So we're gonna have to get a look at this. So considering those modifications, because the maps are so large, blah blah blah, we added exciting new Pantheon reissues, beliefs, discoveries, and city-state bonuses. So we can hope that maybe, okay, that's because when you play on, let's say, Immortal or Deity, you always end up having the choice between 2 Pantheon or 2 religious beliefs. Like, they take everything else, and you don't have a choice in this, because the AI is so cheated, they have such an advantage over you that they will immediately have access to pantheons or to beliefs, okay? So it's not like you cannot make it. It happened to me only once that I managed to be one of the first region. I think that was in Immortal, that was not even in Deity. But it's almost impossible to get your region before the AI, so they take everything. So they had to add new pantheon and religious beliefs, I think, because if you play on TSL, then you basically will not have any choice anymore. And city-state bonuses that ensure there is enough content for all players in the game. So you will have more city-states potential. I think there used to be, what, maybe 4 city-state of each kind. So maybe they added some new bonus for each category, so you can have a greater generation of city-states, especially on huge map, because then you need to have a lot more city-states, I suppose. Quick heads up that a bigger map have a bigger hardware demand. Okay. I think we should be fine. Hopefully. We will see how it goes. Blah blah blah, we don't care. New advanced game options. So let's start looking at this. One of the best things about Civilization is how many way blah blah blah. So first, the below options are currently available only in single player. New options includes enable, disable specific legacy path per age or turn them off entirely. Enable, disable specific legacy path per age. Right here. Okay, this is definitely new. I don't know if you can see it properly. Let me check. No, you cannot see it properly. So I'm going to take the browser page again out and just read it for you, okay? So this is new. This is completely new. Now in the advanced option of starting the game, you have the possibility to enable or disable the legacy path. You can also turn it off entirely if you want to. Now, why exactly would people do that? I think they did most of the changes that they are offering in this new update. And I don't want to be like a big criticizer or whatever you want to call it, a big critic of people, but the community has been bitching Firaxis developers about the fact that Civ 7 was basically not Civ 6. And in Civ 6, with all the mods, all the change in UI and stuff, you could really control everything, right? Now here's the thing. A lot of those requests were made by people who wanted the game to basically be easier for them. And disabling, from my opinion, disabling the legacy path, it's just a way to stop the AI or other players to win a specific victory while you try to win another. Now there are victories that are faster to get than others. For example, the space race takes quite long, and if you go space race, you could actually already win the ideology, because the ideology is sort of depending on the same research, or at least a set of similar research as the space race. So anyone who's very strong in science can actually win the ideology game instead of winning the space race game. So you could decide to turn off ideology so that nobody basically stop midway and have to go through the whole space race thing. Let's be honest. It feels that they did this more to shut the little whiner off than to actually remake any major change in the game. People were whining about this and what but this they never managed to do this because they do that, and so they did it. But and you can load configs. Interesting. You can actually load configurations. So benchmark stuff. Yeah, okay. Save configs and load configs. You can make it so that you go for a very specific kind of victory, sort of. For example, the treasure fleet is very hard to do, especially if you play on fast how do you call it? Fast age or whatever. You just don't have the time to do all of the fleets. I think the best I managed to do was like 12 fleet out of 30 or something like that. Like, even by beelining getting treasure fleets, Silk Road is doable, you just need a lot of resource. Railroad Tycoon is extremely hard as well, especially if you play on fast. In Modern Age, validating the Railroad Tycoon, you usually end up finishing one of the other before you finish the Railroad Tycoon. Maybe this is the reason why they did it, so that you could force going for economic victory. I don't know. To be fair, I think it doesn't make a huge difference. Either you play well or you don't. Whatever. Disable score victory. Unlimited turn in Final Age. Okay. Where is this? Disable score victory. Is it bypass civilization unlocks? No. Where is it? Ah, here. Score victory final age. Okay. So disabling a legacy path will cause it to not track progress. Give rewards, display advisors. We also disable any victory conditions associated with it. Okay, wow, it's kind of obvious. Disabling the score victory means you can keep playing and validating everything basically at the end. Because ultimately, once you have finished the space race and have Geographic Society done, the Railroad Tycoon eventually will be the one that you want to finish, and the ideology you most likely already done with this a long time ago. Then what do you want to do after that? Keep playing for no reason? Because what else do you do besides dominating every other civilization? And if you go for the domination, global domination, maybe on huge or TSLs, or I don't know what, you just want to show off your supremacy. Every other civilization will have time to go to the end of technology as well. Yeah. If it's for a few turns, or if it's to try to get all 4 victories, why not? Otherwise, I don't really see the point. Again, it feels like that they are more like answering people's whining than actually providing real benefits to the game itself. That's my personal feeling about it. Enable or disable specific crisis. Okay, so this is quite interesting. Disaster and crisis settings. Disaster intensity. You can say catastrophic, light, or moderate. All right. And also, you have the crisis. So where is the crisis? Right here. Antiquity and exploration have the crisis system. And now they decided that, okay, originally you could enable or disable the crisis. Okay, that was in the basic setup. I don't always play with crisis. Sometimes I find it interesting to put it as a challenge, additional challenge. Sometimes I just feel like I want to go a little faster through the age and not having to deal with this. So I disable, why not? Here now you can actually see what the different crises are. In Antiquity you have you didn't have the choice, before it was random. So you have the invasion crisis, the plague crisis, or the revolt crisis. The invasion crisis means more and more barbarians are popping on the map and making your life difficult. Plague crisis is basically all of your city getting sick and stopping to produce or losing population on your cities, and then you need to create those doctors basically and try to like temper the plague. Also, when you lose population, those population becomes migrants that you need to quickly navigate away from the city so that they can potentially go into another city, but then you have also a risk of infecting the new city, I don't know what. So plague is actually a pretty tough crisis to deal with. Revolt crisis is you go into huge levels of discontent, and worst case scenario, your cities basically stop doing anything. You just have to wait until the end of the age. So, plague, really tough. Invasion, okay if you have a good military. If not, it can be tough. But you can always create military at the end. Revolt, meh, more annoying than anything else. During the exploration age, we have again the plague, again the revolt, or we have the revolution crisis. Now, revolution crisis is kind of tricky. It's not necessarily negative. Like you have some negative and some positives. That's definitely, I think, one of the easiest crises to deal with, the revolution. So you can decide, for example, to disable some of them, so that if you play, you will only have this one specific crisis. So you could say plague, and then you only play with the plague crisis. It's not randomized anymore. As for the disaster intensity, that didn't really change. I think we already had that. Now, what is next on our list? Custom AI difficulty option. Adjust each AI bonus independently. Okay, that's not very clear, so we're gonna look at that. Bypass Civ unlock on age transition. You'll be able to pick any Civ from the next age during an age transition, no matter what you unlocked through your gameplay decisions. Adjust independent power hostility, all hostile, random, or all friendly. Let's look at it. So, bypass civilization unlocks. This basically, if I enable or disable it, means normally when you start an age, through your actions and through the way you develop in the game, you will unlock a certain number of other civilizations for the next age. If you don't unlock any of them, you will still have the basic 2, I believe, that are automatically unlocked by the initial civilization you use. Each civilization by itself already unlocks another civilization for the next age. Now, if I basically enable the bypass, I don't need to unlock anything and I can play whatever the hell I want. Again, I don't want to be a bitch about it, but isn't that just giving people a lollipop to shut up? Because it feels to me like it's... People were complaining, oh, well, but I cannot play this civilization because it requires an unlock, I never managed to make it, blah, blah, blah. Dude, if you want... First of all, you have access to the unlock conditions in the game. There is a tab in the game, a little interrogation point. You click on it and you can see the unlock for the civilizations. You want to test a civilization, you just make sure to validate the unlock. I don't do it. I just go with the flow. But if you really want to play a specific civilization, you can. You can actually just look at it and do it. Most of the time, the unlocks are actually not that difficult. Like, for example, I think having 3 altars in different cities or towns unlocks a civilization. Having 2 or 3 cities by the sea unlocks a civilization. Like, it's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult to unlock a specific civilization. If you want one very specific, just look for it and make sure that you get it. Maybe some like having maybe a source of tea and there is no tea where you are, or something like that would be like a difficult unlock, and then you don't get to play that one civilization specifically. Let's be honest, one time I played a game and I unlocked every single possible civilization from the next age. Not even doing it on purpose, it just happened. So, for me, this here, it's another way of making the game easy. Reducing the challenges of playing Civ 7. And they did that so that the little whiner from the community will have their lollipop in the mouth and stop making noise. I find this to be unnecessary. Now, let's consider the idea that you want to play multiplayer. And so you want to play as a team, and you want to play specific civilizations, and maybe on occasion some of the unlocks condition would not necessarily be met, or there is really only one aspect that I could see this to be actually functional as a game option, and that would be that. To be playing as a team in multiplayer, and wanting each team to follow a certain civilization path. Other than that, I don't see the point. I probably won't ever use this. Custom AI difficulty options. Adjust each AI bonus independently. So what is that? Custom AI difficulty option. Scribe, Governor, Viceroy, Sovereign, Immortal Deity. We know that, and custom, right? Custom AI difficulty. Do we see that somewhere? Is it here? Let's say I want Ada Lovelace to be here. I can choose what civilization she plays with. I usually don't do that, but I could decide that I don't want to play a game with this or this civilization in. Do you see anywhere? The AI difficulty option? I don't. This is the standard AI difficulty option. Adjust each AI bonus independently. That would be in the player thing. So if I say Ada, Amina, Twinksek, I should be able to set up their difficulty level. But I do not see that. I do not see it. I don't think that was implemented. Or I'm missing it somewhere. Weird, the random button went on the bottom. Custom. Ah, maybe that's the custom that did not exist before. Okay, this is what we are talking here. The custom that was added to difficulty here. Yes. If I go custom, how do I validate? Custom difficulty settings configured under advanced option. Did it open something? It did! Okay, there we have it. Alright. It opens a new panel which is difficulty setting. Okay. And now suddenly we have the possibility to adjust the AI difficulty on various aspects. Oh, that's actually quite interesting because that allows us now to see just how cheated they are, right? Now this is interesting. Let's say we play in deity, right? Combat strength for independent. Increase the bonus to combat strength for independent power. If you play on deity, they have 0 bonus. If you play on scrib, they are at -6, so they're actually quite weak compared to you. Interesting. Sovereign, Immortal, and Deity are the levels at which the independent powers are at the same strength as you are. Now, combat strength for AI, this is where you get the levels. -4 for Scribe, 0 for Governor. So Governor is the level at which the AI is as strong as you are. From Governor, they get a cheated bonus, +1, +3, +5, and +8. This +8 is something, I can tell you. When you play Deity against the AI, this +8 combat strength makes everything much more challenging. +5 is already really tough, +8 is really tough. AI Commander XP. Well, it turns out that the AI in Deity gets +100% XP for their commanders, so their commanders are leveling up 2 times faster than you are. AI unit production, 160%. Now that explains how they are just pumping out 2 units out of their city when they are under siege and never letting you pass. 160% unit production. So they just keep producing non-stop until the end of the age, and you never manage to get the city. AI building production, +80%. So it's not 100, but they are building almost 2 times faster than you are. And that's why you have to be really good at keeping up, basically. You have to build faster than they do. Basically, when they research something and they unlock a new building, they get that new building 2 times faster than you do. Now, it depends where they want to build it, right? But that's basically what it means. Not 2 times, but 180%. Additional walls on AI settlement. Okay, so this is interesting. Additional walls, this is something I complained about, where the AI would just take a city and suddenly you're like, why the fuck does that city has any walls? That city was a town and didn't have any wall before, and suddenly it has walls and I cannot conquer it anymore. I cannot get it back. Well, that's because, and I didn't even know that was a thing, but it was a thing, if you play on Deity or Immortal, they receive 3 walls. On Deity, 4 city and 1 town. They receive 3 walls for 4 cities and 1 town. This is completely disgusting. This is cheated. Really cheated for this. So maybe that is something you want to bring back down to Governor and block the AI from actually having that cheat. This is quite interesting. Having the possibility to modify these things could be interesting to lower a little bit the stupid difficulty of Deity. Deity is really strong, but now we know exactly why it's so difficult. In terms of gold, 20, 40, 60, 80%. So they do start with quite a bonus over you. Science, 80%. Culture, 80%. Happiness, 80%. Everything is almost, it's not doubled, but it's not far from it. Immortal is 60%. Maybe Immortal is a more reasonable difficulty. Doesn't mean you cannot win on Deity. I won on Deity. That's not a problem. Tech costs. Okay, here's the thing, and this is where the mega shit happens. Tech costs. Minus 40%. Everything that they have to research, either on technology or civics, is almost half the price. When it takes you 10 turns, it takes them 6 turns to validate it. This explains why they are belining their trees and getting crazy advantages, and more important, okay, think about that. They research their civic almost 2 times faster than you do, unless you have twice the culture they do, right? So they research their civics almost 2 times faster than you do, and then that means they unlock the wonders 2 times faster than you can. And it turns out that they have 80% production advantage over you, which means they can build that wonder almost 2 times faster than you can. So they benefit from a time 4 time advantage over you for building wonders. They unlock it half of the time and they build it by half of the time. It's very, very tough to get any wonder that the AI would want on deity. They basically just steal everything. And for tech, well, it's more about normal buildings, right? So for the tech it's fine, but for the civic it's actually really tough. Excuse me for a second. I got water in my ear. There we go. Ocean damage. Now what is that? Ocean damage. This is interesting. Increase the damage reduction AI unit receive when ending their turn on open ocean. Oh! I didn't know that was a thing! Oh, this is disgusting! So the AI receive 80% less damage when crossing the ocean for the expansion age. During the exploration age, you have to find a new continent, and they receive 80% less damage, so they can just straight up send a thing and go through 6 or 8 tiles without dying, while you really lose like 25% of your life per tile. If you don't find a small passage, you lose your units. They get 80% damage reduction when they cross open ocean during the exploration age. Before unlocking the shipbuilding, which negates the damage. That explains a lot of things. Okay. So out of all the cheats that the AI gets, I think the most disgusting is the AI unit production and the AI walls on AI settlement. They take one of your settlements, and if they didn't already benefited from the wall, that settlement just pops a wall out of nowhere, which changes the direction of the war completely. Because then you don't have siege units, and your units don't do any damage anymore, and they take damage instead, and then they just pump out units against you, blocking you from taking the city. Like, this is very frustrating. This here is an extremely frustrating mechanic. The AI combat strength, well, that's difficulty. AI commander XP, fine, whatever. For a deity level military civilization, you get to face a commander that has a lot of bonus. Combat strength for independent, fine. Gold, science, culture, happiness. That's deity for you. Almost doubled. Tech cost, civic cost, almost halved. That means, once again, in deity, they go 4 times faster than you do. Not exactly 4 times, it's not 2 times more. But if you make the calculus, it's basically 40% times 80%. It's 320, so that is 3 times faster than you do. They go 3 times faster in their production and research. Okay? Well, I think we just learned quite a bit about the AI difficulty of the game. Now, if I take custom off and go to deity, all of this disappears, of course. Alright, very interesting. So this is for me one of the best upgrades they did. Giving people the possibility to modify this, to either make it a little less cheated, or just to, you know, tinker a little bit in their game settings. Adjust independent power hostility. Okay, so this is sort of interesting, not necessarily extremely interesting, but determine what the initial hostility level of an independent power is within players, with players when the independent power first spawns. So you could decide that they are all hostiles, that they are all friendly, or by default, that they are a mix of friendly or hostile. I think this is interesting for 2 reasons. I think the mix of hostile and friendly is okay. When you start and you have 3 independent cities that are all hostile toward you, and then you see that the AI around you or the other players around you just starts with only friendly city-states around them, or it's kind of disgusting. Let's be honest. It's kind of disgusting because all hostile city-states are basically barbarians and they are all attacking you, making your time really hard. And all the friendly ones, you get to, you know, to befriend them quite easily, and then they become allies, they give you resources, and potentially they also fight for you. So it's like a pretty unfair advantage that you can have if your spawn is unlucky, I will say. Now, lots of people will say, yeah, but that's part of the game. Luck is part of the game, and when you generate a new seed and a new map, you don't know exactly how the AIs are gonna come, alright? Now, putting it by default as all hostile will sort of balance the game. It will just basically say, okay, they are all barbarians, and you're gonna fight them all until you befriend them. The befriending is also quite costly. Alternatively, you could decide that they're all friendly, nobody attacks you in early games, and the befriending barbarians, which are not barbarians anymore, but, you know, pre-city states, is also easier. So yeah, it's a choice. I would say it's a choice on this one. I kind of like it. I think I kind of like it. I probably will play still on default most of the time. But I do like the idea of, for example, having hostile for all city-states. So that the AI has to deal with the hostile. Now, if they have to deal with the hostiles, that most likely means they are going to maybe raise a lot of them, which could reduce the number of available city-states in the game. So it depends. If you want to play with a lot of city-states, it's not great. Alternatively, if you want to make your game a tiny bit easier and you want to play with a lot of city-states, you put them friendly, so that most likely the AI will not straight up go and destroy them. And then that gives you, if you have a very strong influence, that gives you more opportunity for befriending city-states and validating their bonuses. Once again, it's a way to make the game a little easier for you, right? And it depends entirely if you want to play a game that's easier or not. So, those are for the basics change in settings, and they are quite interesting, some of them, yeah? So what are they saying? We had, sorry, I'm gonna put the page back for you. I'm gonna put the page back for you. There you go. They say, we have had a lot of fun playing with different legacy paths on or off in each age. While legacy paths that don't lead to a victory are always optional, sometimes it's nice to just tune them out entirely and focus on playing into the unique strengths of your leader and civ. No, doing that is just for a fun sandbox game. It's taking the challenge of fighting against AIs that could win easier through other paths. It's making the game easier for you. That's all. Try turning off legacy path for antiquity or exploration, setting the game to abbreviated ages. If you want to lean into the sandbox feel even more, so if you want to make it even easier, try turning off the legacy path in modern _ victory 2. Yeah, well, if you want to test a certain kind of civilization, maybe this is a step toward giving you more flexibility on how you play, and we know legacy paths have more room to grow. Stay tuned for future updates. So are they saying that they might modify legacy path a little bit more? I wouldn't be necessarily against it, especially if they could balance them a little bit more. But here's the thing. What they're saying here, I feel it's a halfway honest. I think they did this a lot because people were complaining they could not play sandbox, or they could not play just an easy game for the fun, testing I don't know what strategy or I don't know what stuff. You want to test whatever stuff for the fun, just go down the difficulty, go put it down to governor, put it down to scrib, and you play an easy game. You don't have any risk from anyone because everybody is weak compared to you, and you just try whatever stuff you had in your head. I mean, this for me is more, we listened to you, to your whining, and we gave it to you guys, but I don't believe that they really did it because it changes so much in the way they see it. New bonuses for region, city, state, and town. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure we can actually look at this, so we will look at it during the game, of course. Pantheon changes first. Pantheons are first come, first serve, so to make sure there's enough to go around, we added 2 new pantheons to antiquity. These can be selected by more than one player. This is related to having bigger maps, as I said before, because if you have bigger maps, you have more players. If you have more players, you need more pantheons available. We heard feedback from players that a religion in Civ 7 has room to grow. One consistent piece of feedback we've seen is that there is not enough reason to convert your own settlements. That is true. We are adding new beliefs and updating some existing ones that gives bonuses from spreading your region within your own empire. Spreading your region within your own empire is easier. It's actually quite easy. Again, okay, there was not much bonuses to spreading the region to your own empire. I think there should be always some sort of a bonus for your empire to benefit from your own region, especially because of the beliefs you chose, right? But again, it's easier, much easier to spread region in your empire than it is to actually convert cities from the other empires. So once again, making things easier for the whiny whiners. We are also introducing updates for town focus bonuses to help them feel more impactful. Okay, I'm not against that. Town focuses were not always very interesting, and you always want to grow them more than anything else. And so you basically only start focusing your towns at the modern age, I feel. Because you need those towns to have grown first. Otherwise, they basically have shit values. Urban centers in particular have received a glow up. Now gain access to many of the buildings that were otherwise only available in cities, like library, monument in antiquity. So this is quite interesting. Urban center is a new bonus, and I think it did not exist before, or what it was before was not related to that. But it basically means you can grow your town into becoming a somewhat city. It's not exactly a city, but it gets the basic bonus buildings, which is something that was a bonus to specific civilizations, I think, such as Rome or specific leaders. And now they basically give you the option for your towns to be more than just a agricultural thing. If you wanted to build stuff in your towns before, you had to turn them into a city. But here's the thing. Sometimes what you want is to go for, let's say, a cultural victory or a cultural legacy path. You want to do the cultural legacy path. And you're like, oh, I need for this to build my museums, but I only have 2 cities. And it's impossible for me to have enough great work because I need the great work slot in my museums or whatever else you have to build that gives you the space for the great works. And basically what they're saying is that they will give you the opportunity to change your towns using the focus so that you can build more museums in towns and get more of your actual desired great works. So that is quite interesting. This is quite interesting, this urban center. I think that it's gonna change a little bit the gameplay. And then they have also Fort Town. Gain ability to purchase multiple walls, so they can really lock down strategic choke points. This is really interesting. You don't have to turn your town into a city so you can build a wall anymore. You can create a choke point town. This is something that was missing, so I really like that they did that. That will change a little bit the gameplay as well. We also introduced a new type of town focus, the resort town. You can see it here on the GIF they created. So they show first some of the past, and here they talk about the additional bonus for the town, right? So you can see those are the Pantheon, and here you can see resort town, urban center, and fort town, the new focus. So resort town, these relaxing scenic retreats gain extra gold and happiness on rural tiles with happiness and increase yields on natural wonders. So if you build a town next to a natural wonder and focus it on rural stuff, you could decide to make it a resort town that will be a high gold producing town. That is okay, that is interesting. Happiness and gold, why not? Why not? Lastly, we felt must-hub towns were overshadowing some of the other options and gave them a slight nerf from +2 influence per connected settlement to +1 influence. We're going to keep an eye on them and see how they compare to the other newly buffed town. So I'll be honest with you guys, I very rarely created a hub town. Maybe now that's a mistake, but getting 2 influence per connected settlement, yes, it's a pretty juicy boost, but that also means that town is not doing much else, right? So they nerfed it down to 1 influence. That means that best case scenario, now you're gonna get 3 or 4 influence out of it. I think that this, like, nobody's gonna use it anymore. I don't see how you go nerfing 50% off a bonus and expect people to use it. Because +2 influence per connected settlement, it's not that easy to connect so many settlements between towns. And they have to be directly connected, so I think most case scenario you get 3. Maybe if you really planned it very, very well, you get 4. But that means you get 8 influence points. it's good, but it's not that great. Now, maybe people were changing all their towns toward hub towns and trying to play this like. That doesn't mean that they would have very very shit gold values and produce and like growth and stuff. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Now, Steam Workshop. And this is something that I was looking for because modding the game was until now not exactly easy, right? And I am interested in checking some of those UX mods that have been done. Also, we have to be careful because some of the mods that you may have on your game might not be compatible with the new update. So we added a lot of options to customize your experience with this update. Nothing beats the level of personalization you can achieve with the help of our amazing modding community. That's one way of them saying, okay, we took too much time to actually make the game better, and the community had to take over. But look at us now. We make it available for you to use those mods that everybody is already using. Okay, there is a little tiny bit of hypocrisy here. So, from UI tweaks to ambitious gameplay overhaul, a mod provides a way to really make your gameplay experience unique. Yeah, we know. The entire community knows. That's why they did it. So with this update, we are also rolling out Steam Workshop support and an initial version of the modding SDK. So what exactly does that mean? You'll now be able to find and install mods from the Steam Workshop. Just hit the subscribe button and your mods will be installed the next time you start. That's about freaking time. That's about freaking time. That is something they should have done on D1 of the game release, allowing for Steam Workshop's mods compatibility. Until now, you had to do some sort of weird ass installation stuff. That's why I actually didn't even do it. I didn't want to go and tinker with the game. Now they finally opened the Steam Workshop modding. So yeah, it's about freaking time, guys. That's why this update was so waited for. This here, right here. This is why the update was waited for. We'll also be providing a modding SDK to help our modding community create, debug, and upload mods to the Steam Workshop. While this initial version of the SDK won't feature our tools, it will include a mod uploader and the glorious return of Fire Tuner, blah blah blah. So this talks to the modding community. I am not part of this, but I will be looking at some mods. I played with some mods in Civ 6, some which I really enjoyed. I will probably install a few mods for Civ 7. I haven't done it yet, but I will definitely do it. So by tomorrow or next week, we will see some mods. Last thing, we also uploaded 3 example mods to the Steam Workshop to show off some of the things you can do with mods, but also as reference for both new and more experienced modders on the various ways you can make changes to the game. There are a few neat tricks that weren't available in Civilization 6. This here this here is a way to tell the community, stop fucking annoying us with our game not being Civilization 6 for freaking 6. Like, they are basically saying, look, we can create mods too. We can modify the game too. You are not the only one who can tweak the game and try to make it back to Civ 6, which is not. So how about you look at our mods that actually make this game, Civ 7, different from Civ 6? This is such... There is so much passive aggressivity in that sentence. Oh my god, what they are saying is they receive so many complaints about the game not being Civ 6, or not being as good as Civ 6, or being so different from Civ 6. They are literally saying, people, Shut up now. Hilarious. Hilarious. No, I do get it. I do understand why. I mean, let's be fair. Let's be fair, I do understand why. A quick reminder for modders: when you create and share mods, please make sure your content follow our user rule, blah blah blah. Keep content safe, respectful, no malicious code. Okay. So this here, the big update. Everybody was waiting for it for a long time to actually have the modding work properly. So, do we actually see in our page where is... Sorry, I still have this in front. On our page, where is the modding? Is it add-ons? Yes, it is add-ons. Add-ons are right now only the list of the things that are related to what you purchased. But now, they will also contain, as indicated, including both player-created mods and official fair access add-on. There you go. They will come here in additional contents. They could have just... yeah, whatever. They could have made a subdivision, but I think that's another way to also say... to also keep ownership of what they did. This is hilarious. I didn't put Memento, by the way, for the game, so... what do we want for this Himiko Shaman? More culture, but 10% less science. Production toward happiness and influence building. How about... +1 food per age in settlements for each city set you're suzerain of. Since if we go high influence is to get a lot of suzerainty, right? And... I don't know. Gain 50 influence after researching a tech or civic mastery. That could also be a big booster on influence. And we could go for a high level suzerainty sort of game. So we haven't yet chosen the advanced options. But we are still finishing to read the update page, so let's get back to it. Okay, so new loading screen. What do we have? Tecumseh, Shawnee, blah blah blah. Did someone say more Gwendolyn Christie VO? I don't know what that is. Ah. So more speech. I don't know. One of the first thing you'll notice when you boot up is a refreshed loading screen. A small but important step in a bigger effort to improve the UI. We've rethought how we develop the UI, and the loading screen gave us a great chance to try new workflows without disrupting gameplay. So the loading screen now... okay. It separates the different aspect of your leader and civilization and deconstruct it into small things and just basically roll from one to another one, giving it a tiny bit more interactivity, I would say. Fine. It's not a huge change. I don't see a huge change here. Info panel, tip and trick section. Okay, that's cute. That's cute. Fully rewritten and re-recorded intros narrated by Gwendolyn Christie. Want to dive deeper, blah 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 blah. So, gameplay. New advanced game option. So this is where we get into the list, right? Community influence item. Added an option to pick and choose which legacy path are enabled per age. Community requested. That's exactly what they are meaning here. We did it because you asked for it. Because you are small winners, and so you kept on whining about not having an easy game, and so we did it because you kept on asking for it. That's exactly what community influence item means. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the detailed dev notes, blah blah blah, because they are basically just saying it's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of passive aggressive or hypocrite ways of saying you have annoyed us so much. Here we are giving it to you, but this is not what we wanted to do to begin with. Added an option to disable score victory. Added a new custom AI difficulty. Yes. Added an option to pick and choose which crisis you want. Yes. Added an option to bypass civilization unlocks. Added an option to control initial independent powers hostility. Alright. Land-based treasure convoys. Okay. So, treasure fleets are growing legs. These will now be called treasure convoys. Okay. New game option. It's not an option, it's part of the game now, and you'll be able to use them over land and not just the sea. Is that a way for them to make the economic victory more accessible? I don't know. So any distant land settlements with improved treasure resources now generate treasure convoys and no longer requires coastal access, a fishing quay, or the shipbuilding tech. The treasure fleet legacy path, specifically the gameplay around gathering resources not immediately available to your empire, is a fun collection minigame for players that like to play the map. While we have improved resource placement further, the steps required to progress this legacy path were still quite restrictive. Yes. Yes, they were. That is absolutely true. And that's why it made it so difficult to go through that legacy path. Often force linear play patterns instead of asking for interesting decisions when settling. We have made some adjustments that should make it much easier to pursue this legacy path while still requiring you to explore and settle distant lands. We plan on continuing to observe this legacy path as well as the others to find place to inject strategic variety. I fully support that. I absolutely 100% fully support that. That is a great idea. And I think they've seen that nobody was validating this legacy path because, especially on fast games, because it just takes too much time to set up. Shipbuilding is no longer required to make treasure convoys. Maybe this is the biggest tweak. This is probably the biggest tweak. Not having to go all the way to shipbuilding before starting the freaking legacy path. Because you cannot finish it on fast speed, it's impossible to finish it. Because the age ends up before you actually manage to go through it. So if you don't have to go all the way to shipbuilding and you can start the treasure convoys, you might be able to start piling up some resource before you have to go and make your treasure fleet. With this change, your treasure convoys will start their journey home while the ocean is still dangerous, and your units can still be damaged by stormy seas. Fishing quays are no longer needed to make treasure convoys. Okay. Great stuff. Updated tutorial on advisor quest to remove instances of fishing quays being required to spawn treasure convoys. Okay. Fine. So they're making it easier and faster to start having distant land settlements sending resources to you, so that if you want to go for the economic path, even on faster speed, you may have a chance to do so. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they checked that it was not working and made it easier to, or at least took a level of difficulty away from this, because it was just too complex, from my opinion. If you play on scrib or if you play on slow, no trouble, you can do it. But if you play on very fast speed or very high difficulty, it's almost impossible to do it. I don't see a way to do it. AI Civ now repair damaged buildings and improvements over time in gameplay. That is great, because that means you can re-pillage. And that is something that the other Civ were normally doing, I think. It's good that they repair the damaged building eventually, because some of the civilization you play, some of the how do you call it, culture you play, like are basically like Norway, or I don't know what, the Vikings, or they are relying a lot on the pillaging as a source of income, as a source of culture, stuff like that. And it's true that once you have finished pillaging all the tiles that are on the border of the ocean or the sea, you're basically sort of stuck. If they start repairing their buildings, you can pillage again. And also, I suppose that helped the AI not lose too much of its benefits and get more balanced. I don't know. AI will now have better judgment and make smarter deals when negotiating a peace deal. Haha! Maybe it's no more possible to steal a 30 population city. Oh no! That was one of the only things that was counterbalancing this crazy deity shit. It's possible now they won't give you a high population or highly developed city. We'll see how that goes. Huh? We'll see how it goes. AI players will now activate a great person when they create one. I am not sure what that means. First, what is an AI player? But more importantly, will now activate a great person when they create one. That means that before they were creating great persons and not validating the bonus. So that must have been some sort of a bug of sort, right? They were just doing the guys, and they were. I think one of the big things as well they were readjusting was the way the AI was creating so many explorers, and then you ended up having piles of explorers on every resource, and you could not get any of them. I think they corrected that shit as well. AI now prioritize attacking enemy treasure convoys when progressing through a game. Okay, interesting. They prioritize. So if they see a enemy, if you are at war in an area and they see one of your convoy, they will try to catch it. That's interesting. That's an interesting mechanic. I support that. I hope that they also corrected the fact that a lot of the time the AIs are not attacking each other, despite being at war, despite being enemies, despite being your ally and not supporting you. I hope they're gonna correct that shit. AI are no longer as aggressive in declaring war on players who are far away from them. That makes sense. And I think they were not excessively aggressive before. No more free cities? Yeah, maybe. I think probably yes, still free cities, but maybe no more 36 pop free cities. Possibly. So AI less aggressive if you are far away from them makes sense. Hopefully that will means that the AI will prioritize fighting with their neighbors a little bit more, especially if you are in like some sort of an alliance. You like to see gold added back into peace deals? That would be, yes, you know what? That would be actually a great idea. Not just like gold, but great works and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't need resources or great works, but let me take the money. I think great works could be something too. They could offer you a great work or money in a peace deal. I think that would be definitely, maybe it would make things too unbalanced, especially the great work, because you are like, you have a lot of great works through the events in the game. But I do agree that would be cool if you could put a bit of money, a bit of cash, or maybe a great work or two into a peace deal. That could go for like a cultural militaristic sort of gameplay, which is usually not very, doesn't really combine well unless you can go for some wars and then negotiating some great work in the peace deal, and that allows you to boost up your cultural victory. Or you could attack the one that's leading in culture and has so many great works, put him into a tough situation, and then negotiate a peace deal where you take some of his great work away, and so that will lower the capacity for the AI to validate the golden age in culture. It will influence the victory path a little bit. Yeah, that's the idea. I think that would be really, really cool. Because they are sort of now tinkering a little bit with this, huh? They are tinkering a little bit with victory paths and stuff, so definitely that would be interesting. Yeah. Don't know if they are going in that direction. AI leaders can no longer build duplicate buildings when one of their damaged building has a hostile unit on it. Oh, they could do that? But that's completely cheated. Okay, that was definitely a bug. That was definitely a bug. The fact that you leave your units on the districts is to block those districts. If the AI could duplicate the buildings, this is ridiculous. So it's good that they corrected that. That is a major, major bug. AI civs will no longer build multiple settler units and not use them when encountered during late antiquity gameplay. It is true that a lot of AIs were having some settlers running around for no particular reason. And if they correct that and make it so that the AIs build settler only with a purpose of use, and if you block them from settling the city, then it does incur a loss for the AI. It does put things back a little bit more into perspective. Yeah. That's it's good that they corrected these two. Yeah, I hope it actually works. Okay, let's check the next. Cities and towns. Added a brand new town focus, resort town. So we saw that, okay? Resort town plus 1, 2, or 3 happiness and plus 1, 2, or 3 gold on tiles with happiness, plus 50% yield on natural wonder tile in this town. So it is a high natural wonder town focus, which is kind of cool. I kind of like this. Redesigned urban center. So urban center, 100% golden happiness toward building maintenance in the town. So that costs a lot of golden happiness. However, you can build library, bath, monuments, plus 1 science and culture on district with 2 buildings in this town. Was the previous bonus. Plus 1 science and culture on districts with 2 buildings in this town. That's what urban center used to be. I never, ever, ever used it. Not a single time. Town focus is something that I'm not using so much because I find it difficult to focus the town before it has fully grown, you know, and becomes productive. So maybe with these new town focus, we might start playing a little bit more with the town focus mechanics. Hopefully that's what they are going for. You can think of urban center like a mini city, useful for when you want some additional buildings, but don't necessarily want another build queue to manage. I agree. More importantly than not is what I said earlier. If you go for a science victory or culture victory or I don't know what, a legacy path, I mean, it allows you to get more relic slot, more great work slot, because you can actually build the necessary building for them, which before was a big limiting factor. Adjusted balance on several existing town focus, religious sites, plus 1 happiness on all buildings and plus 1 religious slot on temples in this town. It used to be 2 happiness for 1 relic slot. So they reduced the happiness gain. Okay, whatever. you do still have the relic slot on temples. Factory town, plus 100% gold toward purchasing a factory in this town. So this is for late game. Interesting. Plus 1 resource slot, 5 trade range from 100% gold toward purchasing factory, 1 resource slot, and did not have the trade range. So they boosted up they boosted a little bit the factory gameplay, which once again gets back to what I was saying earlier, that the economic victory are just too difficult to obtain. So maybe that works. Mining town, plus 2-3 for production on all camp, woodcutter, clay pit, mines and quarries, was 1-2-3. So they boosted up the mining town a little bit as well, making it a more productive kind of town. Okay. Hub town, they nerfed it. It was 2 influence, it's down to 1 influence. The only nerf of the bunch, Hub town has been tuned down slightly to bring it in line with the other town. We'll keep an eye on this and focus on twicks and blah blah blah. And then the new one, the 4th town as well, plus 5 healing to units and plus 25 heal to walls in this town. Can purchase additional walls. This is the big change. Can purchase additional walls. That means this town can become a fortified blockade in a situation of war, or if you play Mongol, I suppose, the Han, that could be very strong because you have bonuses in defense, so you can set up a few towns that are blocking the enemy from coming in with walls district and getting the additional bonus on your units for defending those districts. Independent power and city-states added 24 new city-state bonuses across the edges. Now, the reason for that is the TSL maps, the huge maps. By going with a higher level of map, you need more city-states, and if you need more city-states, you need to come up with new bonuses that will combine properly with each category. So, what did they do? And that's exactly what they say. Bigger maps means more players, more potential city-state allies. To support this, we added more options for suzerain bonuses. So we are going to play a TSL, right? We are going to play a large map, and we're going to see how that plays for us. There is quite a lot more to look through. So I don't know, maybe we should start the game and look a little bit through it. But I'm not feeling great at just cutting the game every 2 seconds to look at the new thingies. So maybe I'm not going to go into all the details. We will look at it once we are in-game. But let's have a look at a few. Antiquity, city-state bonuses, for example. Okay, so 24 means that they added 8 per age. It's not 24 altogether, it's 8 per age. And 8 means basically 2 additional city-states per category. If I'm not mistaken, we have 4 categories. We have militaristic, economic, science, and culture. And so now you have 2 more for each of the categories. Scientific, lingua fresca. So they put 3 for scientific, 2 for militaristic, 3 for militaristic, 2 economic, and 2 cultural. Wait a second, but that's more than 8. Oh, wait. That's 8. Oh, dev not. Sorry. It's not 3. It's a dev not. There's... They put it with the same stuff. I thought it was a different one. No. It's a dev not. Okay. So, lingua franca, plus 2 science and displayed codices. Interesting. Archimedes crew, plus 1 science on warehouse building. This bonus can be chosen by multiple civilization. Interesting. So Archimedes crew is a bonus that can be taken by anyone going for this kind of suzerainty. Plus 1 science on warehouse building. It's a global bonus. There are a few new bonuses that stack bonuses on warehouse buildings. This is part of an approach we're experimenting with to keep infrastructures building like warehouses relevant and impactful as more of your empire is swallowed up by urban sprawl. Okay, so they want the warehouse building to not become just a burden because they take those space, and while you are taking over all of your farms and woodcutters and I don't know what by new districts progressively, that means all those warehouses sort of become irrelevant. They lose the bonuses progressively because you don't produce anymore. Then those would be basically flat bonuses put on warehouse. It's not a stupid idea. It's actually pretty smart. Militaristic, we have Hegemon plus 1 settlement limit. This is great. This is really good. Okay, you can go and put Hegemon if you take a militaristic city. This is really strong. Some players have asked for more ways to increase settlement limits. We are pretty comfortable with the current limit and how they reign in overly wild strategies, but this seemed like an appropriately costed way to give those players an option. You know what? I support this. Especially on TSR where you might have like a lot more space to create big empires. The settlement limit is a huge blocking factor. Then maybe you can do that. Try to get the hegemon quick by getting suzerain of a militaristic city-state. It's interesting, very interesting. Spoil of war plus 1 war support. This bonus can be chosen by multiple civilizations. Oh, if you look at that sentence, it comes back a lot. So they are actually giving this as a new way to create a lot of city-states and potentially give a basic bonus to any civilization taking it. Plus 1 gold on warehouse, plus 1 science on warehouse, plus 1 culture on warehouse. That makes sense. Yeah, here. Plus 1 culture, plus 1 gold, plus 1 science. Each age will have that. That's okay. Okay. Interesting. Alright. Economy, blah blah blah. Made several balance adjustments to specialists. Okay. Fine. 100 food and happiness to our maintaining specialist becomes 50% food and happiness to our maintaining specialist. So that was nerfed quite a bit. Free speech. 50% food and happiness to our maintaining specialists in exploration age was nerfed down to 25%. So again, big nerf. I don't know if people like a lot of specialists, they are not going to be happy about that. Attribute node, 10% food and happiness to our maintaining specialist, or 20% if you have 3 of your city, was 15% and 30%. So nerfed. All of the things related to maintaining specialists have been nerfed. Attribute node, again. 15% of food is refunded when a city grows by adding a specialist. And it used to be 25%. So building specialists is not going to be easy now. It's going to be actually quite penalizing. But don't you need a lot of specialists to validate the scientific golden age of exploration? Because you need to reach those 40 plus yields on tile, and you need a lot of specialists for that. And then suddenly now it costs you a lot to do so. So there are quite a few more tweaks. Fascism ideology, assembly line plus 2 production from specialists, minus 2 found in town, used to be 3 production, minus 3. So they reduced it a little bit. Maybe the negative was too strong. I don't know. Dirigism plus 4 gold from specialist, minus 3 happiness in turn. Used to be 6 and minus 3. Ah, so no, they nerfed it again. So people who were playing a high specialist sort of game were belining too much? I don't know. They seem to have nerfed specialists quite a bit. Communism ideology, proletariat, plus 4 food from specialist, minus 3 happiness in turn. Used to be 6 food. So that too was nerfed. Oh, everything that's related to specialists seems to have been nerfed. Remove gold maintenance for Portal de Mercaderes, Steel Mill, and Manigramam. So those buildings now do not cost gold to maintain. On those special they either sound like World Wonder or like special buildings from civilizations. Remove the happiness maintenance for the garden, Chiguan, Cathedral, and Jardin à la Française. Okay. Again, those seem to be special buildings. Garden, not. Garden is a normal building. So they wanted the garden to not cost happiness, which makes sense. The Soufetist tradition now grants the bonus yield to the specialized stone when slotting the policy. I am not sure what that is. We're gonna have to look. Tiles in settlements without a barret now gets pillage damage during flood while playing as Khmer. So you need to have the barret to not get pillaged or damaged. I'm not sure. Is there a way to check on... There must be a Wikipedia. Access to Wikipedia. C7 wiki. Let's check what the barret was saying.
Sorry to interrupt. He has to shut off the
Okay guys, I'm sorry, we actually have some work happening in the house and I must make a cut for 30 minutes at least. I will come back and we will continue to check on the update after that, but we are going to cut electricity. So my computer has to be turned off right now. I will be seeing you back in roughly 30-40 minutes.